In 2018, a man named Daniel Harper moved into a small rental house in rural Ohio, a quiet place surrounded by endless trees, where nights felt heavier than they should have. The town itself barely felt real. Just a stretch of road, a few distant farmhouses, and long periods of silence broken only by wind moving through branches. The house had been empty for years, its white paint cracked and peeling, its wooden floors worn thin from age. When Daniel asked the landlord about the previous tenant, he was told only that the man had left suddenly and that there was nothing wrong with the house. Daniel accepted that answer without pushing further. He wanted isolation, not conversation. The first week passed without incident. Daniel unpacked his belongings, arranged his furniture, and slowly adjusted to living alone. At night, the house creaked in ways that old houses often do, but nothing felt threatening. The only inconvenience was his phone. Inside the house, there was no signal at all. No bars, no data, nothing. Every time Daniel needed to make a call, he had to step outside near the porch, where the signal returned weakly. It was annoying, but not enough to make him reconsider staying. On the 7th night, Daniel woke suddenly to a sound that didn't belong in the silence. His phone was ringing. The room was completely dark, except for the glow of the screen lighting the ceiling above him. Half asleep, he reached for the phone, expecting a missed call or spam number. Instead, he froze. The caller ID showed his own number. Same digits, same area code, same phone. Confused, Daniel stared at the screen, his thumb hovering but never answering. After several seconds, the ringing stopped. He told himself it was a glitch, set the phone down, and went back to sleep uneasy, but unconvinced anything was wrong. The following night, the phone rang again at the exact same time, just after midnight. Once again, the caller ID displayed his own number. This time, Daniel answered. He didn't say anything. He didn't need to. On the other end of the line, he could hear breathing. Slow, uneven breathing, as if someone was struggling to draw air. It sounded close, unnaturally close, like the person wasn't speaking through a phone at all, but standing inches away from him. Daniel whispered, "Hello," his voice barely audible. The breathing stopped instantly. The call ended. From that night on, the calls became routine. Always after midnight, always from his own number. Sometimes there was breathing, sometimes there was complete silence. Once, just once, Daniel heard something else. A faint whisper, it quietly said his name. He dropped the phone when he heard it, his hands shaking as the screen went dark. Sleep became impossible. Daniel started leaving lights on at night and keeping the phone face down, but the ringing always found him anyway. Desperate for answers, Daniel contacted his phone provider. They checked his account, ran diagnostics, and reviewed every available log. According to their system, no such calls existed. There was no spoofing, no forwarding, no duplicated number. As far as they could tell, his phone had never received those calls at all. That explanation only made things worse. A few days later, Daniel mentioned the situation to a nearby neighbor while collecting his mail. The man listened quietly before his expression changed. He hesitated, then asked if Daniel knew what had happened in that house years earlier. An elderly man had lived there alone, rarely seen by anyone. When neighbors noticed they hadn't seen him for weeks, police were called. They forced open the back door and found the man dead in a small room at the end of the hallway. Beside him was his phone, still powered on, its battery long since drained but frozen on the last call screen. That night, Daniel's phone rang again. This time, the sound felt different. Louder, deeper. It echoed through the house instead of coming from his hand. Daniel stood slowly, his heart pounding as he realized the ringing wasn't coming from the phone he was holding. It was coming from somewhere else. Inside the house. He followed the sound down the hallway, every step making it clearer. It led him to a door he had never opened, a back room he never used. When he reached for the handle and pushed the door open, the ringing stopped instantly. The room was empty. No phone, no movement, no explanation. Daniel moved out the next morning. He didn't wait to pack properly. He didn't speak to the landlord. He left the house exactly as it was and never returned. The house remains vacant to this day, untouched and avoided by locals. And some say that if you pass by after midnight and stand quietly near the porch, you can still hear a phone ringing inside the house, calling from a number that doesn't belong to the living anymore.